Hello, welcome to the St. Clement's School Roundtable. My name's Elena Holton. I'm Director of Admissions at St. Clement's, and I do hope that you'll stay with us to hear about the perspectives that people have on St. Clement's and learn a little bit more about the school. Also, do know at any point that you can look at our website, you can reach out to our office. We'd be very happy to help you out at any point. Our website is scs.on.ca. St. Clement's, you probably already know, is an all-girls school founded in 1901. We are a grades 1 through 12 school, and we are known for our academic rigor, and we're known for our small, tight-knit community. We're a school where each and every girl is known and valued. So I have three people with me on the panel, all with somewhat different relationships to the school, and I'll have them introduce themselves. And maybe as the person with the longest standing relationship with the school, I'll start with Claudia. Might you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Claudia Sang. I graduated in 2001 and I attended St. Clement's for about 9 years. And I now currently have a daughter that is in grade 4 and she started in grade 1. So I'm both a parent and alum at St. Clement's.
Thank you. Simona.
Hi, everyone. I'm Simona. I graduated St. Clement's in 2017 and then started there in 2005 in grade 1. And I'm just about to finish up my undergrad.
Thank you. And Neil.
Yeah, my name is Neil McDermott. I have two twin daughters that go to St. Clement's. They started in grade 7, so they've been there for 2 years now.
Thank you. So we'll start off with some of the alum questions. So the first one being, what did you appreciate most about the school during your time there? And how has your perspective on that changed now that you have some distance from the school? So Simona, how about you start us off?
Sure. Yeah, I love to start. So I definitely say that one of the things I appreciated the most was how invested the teachers were in getting to know the individual students beyond the classroom and really developing a strong relationship. And if I think back to when I was in school, you had those teachers that were almost friends and mentors to you, and especially starting in grade 1 saw me go through so many stages in the upper school, choosing classes, choosing what university to go to. And I really appreciated that, I felt like I had teachers in the school who I could lean on. And now, 5 years out from the school, I actually still have relationships with 2 of these teachers. I was just reading a book with my English teacher from grade 10. We just finished discussing. So it's really nice to see, how these relationships have sustained. And I think that's something that you can't take for granted. And if I look at my undergrad degree now, you don't really get that relationship with professors. And so that's something that definitely was unique to my experience and I really loved.
Thank you. Claudia, what about you?
I think the lifelong relationships is very much a key to my experience there. I mean, I'm still friends with the girls that I grew up with, and having, a good 20 years since graduating, I am still friends with these people. And there's something to say about the shared experience you have and really going through the ups and downs of life. And it is harder to make friends as you get older and you really value the people that you grew up with. And at the same time, everybody has been so great to boost each other up, even, with jobs. And like Simona said, in university, you don't necessarily have those relationships with your professors. So, out of university, I was looking at some other programs, and I found myself coming back to St. Clement's, and the teachers and staff were more than willing to help me and help get you to that next phase in your life.
I think that's a common experience where, we see alum come through and really continue on that relationship and feel that network and support. I'll also say, Claudia, I'm also an alum of the school, and you're right, those friendships really do sustain that. And I've actually found as an adult, some of the people who I've reconnected with from St. Clement's. You know, there may have been a point where in our teens or we've really reconnected over the years, and what an interesting and fun group of women they are. So I would wholeheartedly agree. So, what, to the best of your knowledge, most differentiates the school from others? And Simona, with a purely alum perspective, what would you say?
Sure. So I definitely say the size of the school, which I think sometimes can be perceived as a negative, but I think is a really positive and just makes for such a more united experience as you're going through St. Clement's. And I even think being in grade 1, I still am in contact with my prefect who was in grade 12 to this day. She's, you know, working in New York in her 30s and remembers me when I was in grade 6. And so I think that just speaks to how wonderful it is to be such a small school where, you know, the older girls are really a mentor to the younger girls. And so I think that that's a huge differentiator. When I think of the other private schools that are a little bit bigger, I think that's something really special to St. Clement's.
Claudia, what would you say?
I would agree with that sense of community that everyone feels, and the cross-grade relationships that you can form because we are such a small school. You have a lot of time together physically in the small space, and also teaching St. Clement's girls to be resourceful. It is a great time for everyone, and just being able to depend on each other and always knowing that somebody has your back is a really great feeling.
Absolutely. So here's a funky question. I do quite enjoy it. If the school were to be represented as a single person, what would its personality be like in only 3 words? Simona, what do you think?
Okay, I thought about this one a lot. So I think the first one I would say is passionate. Everyone at the school, all the students are really involved in something at the school that they love. And if you've been at the school, you know, really small things like Spirit Week that people just get so into and love, or a club that they're starting, people are really passionate about the things that they're learning. And they really, you know, add a lot of energy to the school through that. The second thing I would say is supportive. I know throughout my time at St. Clement's, if I had a new idea or initiative I wanted to start, I always had the support from teachers. People always wanted us to kind of go above and beyond and add our own color to the school. And then the third thing I would say is really warm. Like walking into St. Clement's is like a big hug. It's so nice to be back even now. And I always, you know, felt going into school in the mornings, like you're just surrounded by your best friends and just a really warm place to be.
I love that. I love that person
Yeah.
who is the school. Claudia, what do you think?
I also thought about this a lot, and I kind of polled some of my fellow alum too. And I feel like, you know, St. Clement's girls are very ambitious. We have a lot of great scholars out there, top 40 under 40, very successful people in life. And, you know, I don't think that's just, it helps from the school and also just fostering that. And then next, I think that the girls are just genuine. What you see is what you get. They are happy to see you. They're kind. They're just, like Simona said, warm. And finally, I think we're resourceful. St. Clement's girls know how to get things done. We come from a small school, but we're resourceful.
Excellent. I like the way those two overlap on each other. What one thing would you change about the school for the better if you had to choose something? Simona.
Sure. So I'll speak to as I remember the school when I was in grade 12, and perhaps this has evolved since I've left, but I definitely would say that the emphasis on STEM and getting women into tech, I really would have loved to be stronger when I was at the school, especially having gone into a engineering and tech pathway afterwards. You know, the robotics team I think was just starting up, but there wasn't that, you know, excitement, and it wasn't necessarily maybe cool when I was there. And so I think, you know, greater energy around girls in code and making that really cool and attracting girls to that, that's something that I think would help position the girls to think about, what are different career pathways if I'm strong in science and math that are, maybe outside the typical medical school route too.
Yeah, I can see that. Claudia.
Well, when I was at St. Clement's, I would have really appreciated a program that you have newly instituted called Linkwell, which really helps teach the girls balance and, taking care of themselves. St. Clement's is academically rigorous, as you said, and we do strive for success. But at the same time, this program is so key to teaching us how to avoid burnout. And that's always top of mind, as alum, but also as a parent now. I really worry about all the children coming through, and, they're programmed so much, and girls need to learn how to take care of themselves, and find that balance in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to respond to what Simona was saying, Claudia, Neil, how do you feel the school is as a place to support and encourage STEM, especially STEM beyond the medical field?
I think, sorry, go ahead, Neil.
Sure. I just wanted to say it was really lovely just hearing you guys talk as, people who have been at the school, and I went to St. Andrews, and a lot of the things that you said I could really relate to. And then just hearing that perspective of, where the school, what it was like when you were there, and then, that connection to the STEM program and the connection to the Linkwell. So I feel like my daughters are capable and they enjoy the sciences. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. I took note that they had the robotics program and stuff, and I thought that was super cool. And just I thought what a great thing, right? Like just giving the girls an opportunity to have fun and play around with that stuff and create some interest and passion around that. So I thought that was wonderful. And then I would say that with the Linkwell stuff, I'm big on that. Like I some of the stuff I was thinking about the questions as it related to one of my experience at St. Andrews. But when I was writing some of this stuff up, I was thinking about how they were really trying to inspire us to be successful in the world. But that Linkwell piece was largely missing. And so, I was saying to myself, what is success, right? And to inspire to do great things is great, but we got to make sure that we're staying well when we do that, and we're keeping all these important things in our lives together. And I think teaching them at a young age is going to be essential to set them up for that type of success. So, yeah.
Thank you. Claudia, how are you finding that Chloe is being encouraged in the STEM fields?
I think they found fun and creative ways to encourage STEM in the classroom. Even from grade 1, there was an introduction to coding, and this past year, they were able to introduce that to little unit at school. And Chloe in her spare time would be programming little Galaga games, or using her brother as a tester and then quickly changing the code based on his feedback. So I thought that was so inspiring to see. And she's only 9 years old, and she just knows how to take care of everything herself, and I just let her be.
And I would say there's definitely been that growth. And I think especially because of people like you, Simona, who've encouraged us. But so now we find ourselves with, a very strong robotics program, both junior and senior. Junior has been there for a long time. The senior one has really grown, and we've got a great full-time robotics lab. We also have a hacking club too.
Nice.
Yeah. And so the girls are working on that. Our math team's been doing really well, and I would say engineering is actually, for programs that students go into, the #1 program that our students are going into in the post-secondary. It's #1 choice these days, though obviously things fluctuate. But about 60% of our girls go into STEM programs after graduating. So I think that's definitely, especially I would agree with you, the non-medical STEM has definitely grown a lot in the past 5 years since you've graduated.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
What would families find most surprising about the school? What do you think, Simona?
Sure. So I would say definitely the fact that despite St. Clement's being a small school, it can really cater to totally different individuals that have different interests. And so I'll use, my sister and I as an example. I went down the STEM path. I was, on the soccer team. I was into music, and, she did a completely different thing. She, didn't want to go into those STEM courses. She was interested in the arts. She got really involved in the musical. And so I think that's something that was really neat, that we were both, able to flourish in our own ways and leave our own marks. And, despite with the same last name, we did our own separate things and made it our own unique experience. And so I think St. Clement's did a really good job offering us, different opportunities based on our own interests. And there was no one path for a Clementine, even if the school was small.
Absolutely. Claudia?
I would have to agree with Simona. I mean, at St. Clement's, you have all sorts of opportunities and experience, and there is no prototypical St. Clement's girl outside of the core values. Where your interest lies, St. Clement's is ready to help you flourish. And I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. So the last alum-focused question. What advice would you give to students just entering the school? And it's funny that I had 2 sessions today with our new grade 7 and 8s and one with our new grade 6s. So I've spent a bunch of time with our students just entering the school. What advice would you give them?
Sure. So I would probably say to, take time to invest in relationships in the school, and take time to pause and talk to people. Like Claudia was saying, they're very ambitious girls in St. Clement's, and people, are always running between classes, doing clubs. But I would encourage people, take the time to, hang back and talk to teachers, to get to know girls in other grades. And that really goes a long way, developing those relationships throughout St. Clement's and then beyond, of course.
Great advice. Claudia?
I would say, always for the younger girls, maybe have your parents reach out for some play dates. Having, those relationships and starting from an early age is so important. And don't be afraid to put yourself out there. At St. Clement's, it is such a safe space that, we love kooky. We love if you just try something. Don't be afraid to look stupid. Like just do it. And I feel like that is really encouraged at school. And, try all of the clubs or one of the clubs, but just get involved in the school. There are so many different activities for you to explore, whether it be sports or arts or music. You have a lot of opportunities there to make new friends and pursue a potential new passion.
Thank you. So moving on to the parent-focused question, and so Claudia, you get to continue to be part of these.
Awesome.
And Neil, you get to join us a bit more. So why did you choose the school originally for your daughters or daughter? And in which ways is the school what you expected, and which ways is it not what you expected? Neil, we'll start with you.
So yeah, we were looking at different schools. We definitely wanted a school with better academic rigor. Like the girls were performing well, and we just felt that it was really important that they be in a school that would support them and continue to give them what they needed in that regard. I've told this story before, but when I went to Queens, a couple of our group of my group of friends hung out with another group of girls, and two of them went to St. Clement School, and they had a huge sort of impact. It's interesting, like listening to you guys talk, it sounds like it wasn't just those two. It sounds like this is very common amongst, which is just really wonderful, right? But yeah, they were, I would describe them, they're super smart. They all went off and highly successful. I believe, one has a PhD, another one is a doctor. But they were just really, really genuine, down to earth people who I just felt comfortable around and related with them and stuff. So we were very close, very good friends, but that had a very positive impact. And so that, knowing what school that they had gone to was sort of huge in terms of deciding that. And then I would say that the other piece to that is just that when we did bring the girls to the school for their interviews, immediately there was a fit. And, I felt that it was a very warm and just they were very good to my kids. But as soon as we left, my wife and my daughters were like, oh, this is great. This is I like this school. This feels really good. And so at that point it was a no-brainer. We knew that was the school we wanted our girls at.
We felt it too.
Yeah, wonderful. Great to hear.
And so are there things that the school is not what you expected, or things that really were as you expected?
It's everything I expected. I mean, my you drop your kids off, they go to school, you come back and you really hear about the school through their lens, right? And a lot of the last we've been through a pandemic here, so being connected to the school as parents has been sort of limited in that way. I would say though that the pandemic has offered an opportunity to be able to see into the classroom, right? Because you come down for lunch and you see them on their computers and you can hear the teachers talking. And I would say that it's true. Like I feel like that the teachers really are warm and supportive, and they take the time for the kids and stuff. So yeah, I honestly at this point, my kids are big into sports, so I see that part of it. They get so much outside the schools. So there's sports there. From St. Andrews, it was a really big emphasis on the sports, but I actually like the fact that St. Clement's has got a better balance, right? So I don't see it as a negative, but we are a sports family with very competitive. So we'll bring that to the school, right? We'll be trying to push and promote that as a benefit. So yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Claudia? You came to the school as an alum, but chose it for Chloe, and so why did you choose the school, and how is it being what you expected and what you didn't expect?
For me, it was a no-brainer for Chloe. I had a wonderful experience my time going through St. Clement's, and I wanted the same thing for her, but there have been so many improvements since I graduated that, it's an even better experience I can imagine for her. The sense of community. I fortunately actually have two other alum in my daughter's grade with girls, and so that's been fun reconnecting. And at the same time, like my daughter, she's growing up in a family of a lot of sons, and I wanted to give her that sisterhood that I could not provide her. So this was, I think, the closest thing, and knowing the type of girls that come out of St. Clement's, that was a huge component that I was looking for. So I have been very happy with the school, and I look forward to many more years there that are going by too quickly.
I know they really are. And I would agree with you, Claudia, that I love the school, but St. Clement's of now is everything I also wanted when I was a student. And I'm sometimes a little bit envious. I'm like, can I go back?
We have brand name uniforms now, like
I
gym
know.
uniforms. They look
I
great.
know.
Another gym. It's
I know.
fantastic. Like the
So much.
facility improvement has been wonderful, and just all those little things like the link well, and things that were somewhat, not, I wouldn't say lacking, but things that could have been improved during my time.
So, Neil, what is the biggest impact the school has had on Maddie and Michaela?
So I would say with Madison, this school really is just sort of a place where she can thrive. In the last semester, she did some different project work. One of them was around architectural and just integrating different things into that. And she did this really beautiful structure. And so, I think she was on that path where she was sort of like, I'm going to go towards medicine, but it's made her pause, right? She's got this lovely artistic side to her. And so, yeah, I love that, because this is the time to sort of discover those interests and those passions. And I've always said to her, like, you got to figure it out, and you do what you want to do. And so in her mind, it was always like medicine. No, it is, right? But the school and the opportunity has really caused her to pause. So that, for me, that's good. And offers her lots of opportunities to be put out there and get outside her comfort zone. And I think she's a true leader. It's just one of those people that, you have to kind of say to them, you are a leader, go lead, and we want to hear from you, right? So I think that for her. For Michaela, like they're very different. Like they're twins, but they're fraternal. They look different. They are completely different in a lot of respects. I feel like she's finding her identity more, which was the big thing that I wanted for her, was to do that. And she's developing her own unique friendships. So I can see that just continuing to grow with her over the years. So that I would say those were the two things that are having the most impact.
Thank you. And Claudia, what's been the biggest impact for Chloe?
I think the teaching staff, they are very in tune with the type of child, or each individual child, and they are not afraid to reach out to the parents and help them thrive. If it means finding little things to help. For example, say you have a left-handed child and you need to bring in an OT to help with certain elements. Like, I'm very early on in this journey with Chloe, but even finding little things to help her become more confident and giving her opportunities to grow and learn. The teaching has been amazing. They're so in tune with, what your child needs. And especially during the pandemic, I feel like they've really gone above and beyond. And it's great to see. I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of loving feelings towards all the teachers Chloe's had so far. So I've just been so happy with the school.
That's great. So easier said than done when they're not here, but what would your daughters have to say about St. Clement's?
So I took the time to ask them, right? And gave them a little time to think about it, because I think it's kind of a tough question, right? Because it's such a, like, as Madison's words, that's kind of a broad question, right? So, but I did force a little, to get her to think about it. I think they're, there was consensus around, and you guys just talked about it earlier, this really positive, supportive, and nurturing environment. They also talked about how they really tried to individualize it, and they look at people as individuals. And so, it's funny, the things you put on the website and the videos and these really are true things. They're not things we say, but we actually live a different story. So yeah, and then I think that probably summarizes what they talked about.
Thanks. Claudia, what do you think Chloe would say?
Chloe enjoys not having boys around. I think that the single sex
now.
school, yeah, for now, no brothers and cousins, but she came from public school, and it is very different going to a single sex school. And so far, she loves it. And having that opportunity, just girls and boys learn differently. And even as she goes to other camps and she does find that, it is a bit more disruptive for her and her participation or learning when the boys are there. And so she does appreciate that aspect about St. Clement. And then also she loves all her friends and her teachers.
So I asked Simona and Claudia earlier the tricky question of, if the school were to be a single person, what would its personality be like in 3 words? So Neil, now it's your turn. What do you think St. Clement's would be like if it were a person in 3 words?
I think the words would be like a supportive, nurturing, I don't know, parent or person, but environment, right? So and the academic rigor and all that stuff is there, but how do you get there? How do you best support people through that? So it really starts with a caring, really nurturing environment, and that saying, nobody gets left behind, right? It's true. Some environments just allow certain people to succeed and others are forgotten about, but they really are looking out for each individual and what their needs are and stuff. So that's probably the personality or the words I would use to describe.
Thank you. So how would you describe the values of the school and the values of the families in the school community? And I'll go back to you, Neil.
So the curiosity, courage, passion are the school's values, and some of them on face value I kind of understood. Through the pandemic, I've been, a lot of things have transpired and stuff, and so I'm thinking in my life and the stuff that I do, a lot of it's about learning, leading, and inspiring. And I when I go back and I reflect upon those values that are at the school, I think they align. I think the curiosity, that passion, the drive for learning, I think that's really behind that. The whole point about leading, anyone can lead, but I think when we talk about inspiring people, it's a lot about integrity and things like that, and having the courage to do things when things are tough, right? So like the pandemic has required a lot of things from people. It's been very tough, and it's easy to have courage, when not much is at stake, but when tough decisions have to be made, and you're able to make those and stick to your value system. So I really like those values. I think they're important, and then I think the other piece in terms of the whole school and the families and stuff, I just think everybody's so welcoming and warm, and there really is a sense of community there.
Thank you. Claudia, what about you? What would you say?
I would add on to Neil's that that integrity is a huge key to the core values. And, you know, a lot of the families want the same things for their girls, and they're not just looking for their girls to succeed, but also how do they want them to live their lives. And I think a big component is success with integrity.
Excellent. And that sums up a lot of what I see too. So we've come to the end of the questions that I had for this roundtable. Are there, you know, I find often as I listen to these things, especially if I'm a participant, I'm like, oh, I would have loved to have said this, or this didn't get covered. Are there, you know, final things you'd like to add or mention, or you may not?
I would say it's a wonderful school, and that the school really does live up to its values and its reputation. And I would, you know, it's really been wonderful being part of this panel and just hearing the alumni talk about it. It makes me super excited for the next 4 years and what the school is going to offer for the girls and where it's going to take them. So thank you guys for all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Simona, Claudia, anything you've...
I don't think there's anything
really
left. Yeah, I think it's covered. If anything, it just makes me miss the school. And it's been nice, you know, kind of reminiscing and just thinking about it. But I think we've covered, you know, lots of great parts of the school. So nothing else to add on my end.
Yeah, so for me, you know, St. Clement's is like coming home again. And I feel like not just as a parent, but as alum, you can always go back, and the relationships are so wonderful and invaluable.
Well, I want to thank all three of you for being part of this panel today. I think what you've said is so helpful for families who are looking at different schools. And I think for those of you who are, you know, trying to decide which schools to explore, to learn about, Neil, Simona, Claudia have represented St. Clement's beautifully in that they've spoken very authentically. They have, you know, drilled down to that importance of the relationships to be able to do so much more, the relationships to be able to be in a place where you feel comfortable learning, to feel comfortable putting yourself out there as who you are and gaining confidence in that, to feel comfortable taking leadership and pushing different programs and you know, working in conjunction with the school to make the school what you feel is right, and you see sort of an evolution in how St. Clement's has progressed and where we are, but the fact that in the end it's that still warm, connected community that brings us back and keeps us going and nourishes us. So I invite you to connect with our admissions department at any point. We'd be very happy to help you out. And you know, I don't know this year whether we'll be able to see you in person, but we'll definitely be available to chat at your leisure so that we can connect and find out if your daughter belongs in a red blazer. Thank you so much. Thank you, Simona, Claudia, and Neil. And I look forward to when we connect in the future.